Hello, everybody. I'd like to call to order the March 12th, 2024 Town Council meeting. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Philip, would you lead us? Come on up, Philip. Stand on this side so Mom can see you. Mom and Dad, if you want to come around, you're more than welcome to. Again, welcome everybody, and it's my honor to be able to give this proclamation. So whereas the Boy Scouts BSA helps to train the youth of our community with the skills which serve them in the future, and whereas many of our youth participate in activities of the Scouts BSA which benefit our community, and whereas one of the crowning achievements of Scouting is the attainment of the rank of Eagle Scout, whereas Philip Valukas from Scout BSA Troop 170 completed the requirements for Eagle Scout, and whereas Philip has dedicated his Eagle Scout project to managing and planning and building of an Osprey nesting platform at Winding Trails in Farmington. And whereas Philip researched requirements for the nesting platform placement, worked closely with Winding Trails staff to excavate the land and provide the required 9-foot depth of pole to accommodate a 45-foot telephone pole. And whereas Philip met with the vice chairman and vice president of OG Industries, negotiated the donation and delivery of the pole for this project. Whereas Philip constructed and painted a 3x3 platform, assembled a work party of scouts and adults to attach the platform to the top of the 45-foot pole. And whereas Philip installed information boards that describe general facts about the osprey migration, habitat, nesting, as well as information about this project. And whereas Philip's project was twofold. This project benefits Winding Trails Nature Program by providing education to many children attending field trips, and the project was completed in an attempt to provide ospreys with a nesting area in Farmington. Now, therefore, be it resolved, on behalf of the Farmington Town Council, we hereby extend Philip our best wishes and hereby proclaim March 12th, 2024 as Philip Valukas Day in Farmington, Connecticut. Dated today, the day of 12 March 2024, signed by myself, Joe Capitafaro. Congratulations. And if our state rep wants to come up, he has a citation to give you also.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be brief, as always. So I just wanted to say, I think I've known Philip since he was a Cub Scout, if I'm not mistaken. And even then, he was serious and conscientious, and I am not surprised at all that he has attained the rank of Eagle Scout. I don't think anybody that knows Philip is surprised that he became an Eagle Scout. So congratulations to Mom and Dad. So from the state of Connecticut, General Assembly official citation introduced by Representative D'Amico, Representative Cooley, Senator Slapp, Senator Lopes. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly offers its sincerest congratulations to Philip Valukas in recognition of your elevation to the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest achievement in scouting. You can be proud of the good work that you have done for your community, which will benefit from your dedication and your perseverance. The personal qualities that have enabled you to reach this goal will serve you well in your future endeavors. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. And it was dated last month, because we had it all ready for you, dated February 13th, 2024 at the State Capitol in Hartford, and it's signed by the President of the State Senate, Martin Looney, the Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and Stephanie Thomas, Secretary of the State. So congratulations, Philip, and congratulations to everyone who enabled Philip to get here. How's that?
Oh, yeah. All right, before we start our public hearing, if anybody wants to leave, you're more than welcome to, but we'll be starting our public hearing, and Maureen will make the announcement.
Legal notice, Town of Farmington public hearing. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, at 7:05 PM in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the Town Manager's 2024-2025 recommended budget. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 22nd day of February 2024. Kathleen A. Belansky, Town Manager.
Good evening. I present for your review the town manager's recommended budget for the fiscal year 24-25. The general fund budget includes the recommended spending for the town, for the school system, for debt service, and for capital improvements. The recommended budgets for the golf course, recreation, and solid waste collection and disposal are also included for your review. Let's see. There we go. The town council set a target in which the town expenditure portion of the budget would increase no more than 2.8% above current year expenditures. Along with the town council's budget target, the town strategic plan and the town council's capital improvement policy were the policy guidelines at the forefront when formulating the budget. The budget building process focused on the following funding themes. Maintain current service levels. The town strives to fund accounts at levels that will enable service levels to remain at high standards. Additionally, any increase in service levels should be directly tied to accomplishing the town's strategic plan town manager goals. 2, increase current capital funding levels. The cost of maintaining the town's infrastructure through the capital budget is a necessary expense that must be recognized. The cost of not maintaining the town's property, buildings, and equipment will have a significant negative long-term impact. Last year, the capital budget was reduced by 74%. I am recommending that the capital budget meet our capital improvement policy. 3, use of fund balance. An adequate fund balance must be maintained to allow the town to continue to meet its obligation in the event of an economic downturn or an unexpected emergency. I am recommending that this budget appropriate $850,000 from the fund balance as a revenue line item. This will bring the fund balance to 15.9% of the recommended budget. This approach phases out the reliance on fund balance as a revenue source. Let's get in here. Based on the town council's target, I am recommending a town budget with an increase of 2.8% above current expenditures. To meet that target, I decreased $1,452,110 from the budget that was requested by my departments. This decrease reduced the overall budget increase from 7.03% to 2.8%. An increase of 2.8% equates to $952,389 above the current year's budget. Where am I, Kat? I got this new thing, my new PowerPoint. Hold on. Okay. Budget drivers. As you may remember, last year's overall budget had a 0% increase in expenditures and a significantly reduced capital budget. This was necessary in order to help mitigate the impact of the state-mandated revaluation. Unfortunately, this year's budget has its own challenges. This is not unexpected, based on the town's long-term financial forecast, which predicted increased debt service due to the new high school project. Overarching budget drivers this year include limited grand list growth, inflation, and increased personnel and contractual cost. Expenditure summary. Expenditures. The total recommended budget for the fiscal year 24-25 is $130,092,920, an increase of $8,826,687, or 7.28% above the current budget. I will now review the overall town budget in detail. The town expenditure portion of the budget includes general administration at $7,704,960, 4.5%. Public safety, $11,724,634, 3.12%. Public works, $4,841,398, a negative decrease of 1.50. Community and recreation, $936,800, a decrease of 1.5%. Other, $9,783,865, an increase of 4.06%. I am recommending a budget of $34,991,657, an increase of $952,389, or 2.8% above current expenditures. Some areas to note. Contractual obligations and overall personnel costs town-wide have increased due to the current job market and an effort to attract and retain employees. In general, many accounts show limited increases or reductions in order to adhere to the 2.8% expenditure target. The personnel service account covers salary adjustments for the non-unionized employees and unionized employees who do not have a collective bargaining agreement in place for next year at this time. There is no seasonal summer help funded in the Highway Department. These seasonal employees enable the Highway Division to complete more ground maintenance tasks during the busy summer months. There is no seasonal help in the Police Department. These were seasonal employees hired during the summer months to patrol the various walking trails and parks throughout town. This budget funds only one seasonal employee at the Westwoods Golf Course. Last year, we eliminated one position, and we were unable to bring it back to the budget. This budget includes half a year funding for our recreation director in accordance with the town's strategic plan. We have also shifted funds from the community and recreation operating budget to the recreation fund to offset some of that cost. The legal account has been reduced based on spending in previous years. This budget funds only 2 new 24-hour police vehicles. The police department vehicle maintenance plan recommends replacing 3 24-hour patrol vehicles each year. The registrar of voters account has increased due to the early voting mandate. This increase includes staffing, supplies, equipment for early voting events. The state of Connecticut has contributed $10,500 to offset the small portion of these costs. Townwide contractual service accounts for computer support and software have increased significantly. The contribution to the Farmington Library is $2,975,000, which is a 2.8% increase above current budget levels. Utility accounts are stable throughout the budget. Town expenditure by object. I've also separated the budget by object, which includes salaries, benefits, supplies, equipment, contractual, and utilities. The increases and decreases for each of the object are as follows. Salaries is $15,429,879, an increase of 2.82%. Benefits is $9,777,365, which is an increase of 4.07%. Materials and supplies is $791,562, a decrease of 1.94%. Equipment is $406,190, which is an increase of 7.89%. Contractual is $6,273,874, an increase of 2.99%. Utilities is $2,312,787, a decrease of 2.07%. The recommended total general fund appropriation is $34,991,657, which is a 2.80% increase above the current budget. Debt. The debt group of accounts includes appropriations to make principal and interest payments on the town's long-term debt obligations. The total amount recommended for the next fiscal year is $11,426,268. This is an increase of $1,461,525, or 14.67%. The funds in these accounts pays for the lease financing obligations, clean water loans, and the principal and interest due on the town's existing bonded debt. Funds are also included in this account for the interest payment on a $28 million debt issuance planned for August of 2024. All the debt proceeds will be used to pay the expenses associated with the building of the new Farmington High School. Refuse collection. The refuse collection budget includes the cost of collecting and disposing of solid, bulky, hazardous waste generated by town residents and the town landfill operation. The budget proposes no rate increase. The annual fee will be $268 per household. Capital improvement. The town capital improvement policy and the town strategic plan were the policy guidelines that were at the forefront when formulating the CIP. The proposed general fund appropriation to support the first year of the capital improvement plan is $2,880,000. This is in line with our capital funding policy. I'm also recommending 4 bond questions. In accordance with our financial forecast, bonding large projects and equipment on a consistent basis and adhering to our capital improvement policy enables us to fund our capital needs. Summary of general fund appropriations. $1,440,000 to the Board of Education, general fund projects to be determined by the Board of Education, and $1,440,000 to the town general fund projects, which are shown on the screen. Summary of other appropriations. These capital projects are being funded by other funding sources and not through the general fund or taxpayer dollars. These funding sources include donations, state dollars, and user fees totaling $895,000, $680,000 for Meadow Road sidewalks. Funds will be used to design and construct sidewalks on Meadow Road from New Britain Avenue to Plainville Avenue. $25,000 Tinty Barn improvements. Funds will be used to continue with a multi-year program to restore the Tinty and Hind Farm barns. $15,000 is a dial-a-ride bus. Funds will be used towards the purchase of a new dial-a-ride bus. $125,000 recreation facility improvements. Funds will be used to install fencing and or netting at the Tungus Mead softball field and reconstruct the Tungus Mead soccer field's concession stand. $50,000 Westwoods Club house improvements. Funds will be used to renovate the deck and patio area at the Westwoods Golf Course Clubhouse. Summary of bonding. Board of Education, $2,384,445 Westwoods roof replacement. The roof replacement project was identified in the K-8 facility study. The Westwoods roof is the original to the building and is 22 years old. This project is also subject to partial state reimbursement. Fire Department, $1,400,000 Engine 8 replacement at East Farms Fire Station. The purchase of a new Engine 8 for East Farms Fire Station would allow the town to retire Engine 10, which has become costly to maintain due to the ongoing repairs and maintenance. The current Engine 8 would remain a spare housed at Oakland Gardens Fire Station. $1,750,000 Quint Fire Truck at Tungus Hose. A Quint fire truck is an apparatus that combines the equipment capabilities of a ladder truck and the water pumping abilities of a fire engine. The new Quint would replace Engine 5 and Rescue 15, both of which are 20 years old, at Tungus Hose Fire Station, which would enable us to downsize the fleet and in turn reduce future maintenance cost. It should be noted that it takes at least 2 years from when the order is placed to build a new fire truck. Police Department, $2,300,000 HVAC replacement, $450,000 roof replacement. In 2023, the town of Farmington commissioned an HVAC systems condition analysis report for 4 town-owned buildings: Farmington Town Hall, Farmington Police Department, Farmington Community Senior Center, and the Farmington Highway Garage. The report has determined that all 4 facilities are in need of significant renovations to bring the existing systems, equipment, and control systems up to current construction and energy standards. The police department was determined to be the most critical, as the systems frequently fail, require unscheduled maintenance calls, and are at the end of their useful service life. As an example, the air conditioning units were inoperable for an estimated 6 weeks this past summer. I'm proposing to couple the HVAC replacement project with the roof replacement at the police department. The police department roof is 22 years old, original to the building, and has leaks that frequently require repair. The air conditioning are rooftop units and will have a more efficient and it will be more efficient and economical if the roof is replaced at the same time as the HVAC replacement. The Water Pollution Control Authority will hold its public hearing on March 13, 2024 at 7 p.m. in person. Expenditure summary. The total recommended budget for fiscal year 24-25 is $130,092,920, an increase of $8,826,687, or 7.28% above the current budget. I will now call on Bill Becker, Chair of the Board of Education, and Kathy Greeter, Superintendent of Schools, to present the Board of Education budget, and then I'll come back to conclude the budget. Thank you.
I do not have a PowerPoint presentation. This is pretty fancy, though. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Capitaferro, council members, Ms. Blonsky, and Mr. Swetke. Tonight, I present to you, pursuant to statute and charter, the Farmington Board of Education's recommended budget for the 24-25 school year. With me tonight is our superintendent, Kathy Greeter, who will provide our presentation in support of our recommendation that the town of Farmington provide $80,468,955 in funding for the coming school year. This recommendation equates to an increase from last year's budget of 5.97%. In addition, the board recommends capital expenditures in the amount of $2,111,250, and Superintendent Greeter will talk to that. And it also recommends that the town be presented with a referendum to consider the bonding of $2,384,445 to repair the roof at Westwoods. A recommended budget identifies what the Board of Education, in its collective wisdom, believes is appropriate to fully fund the school district at the level necessary to meet the expectations of the parents and families of Farmington. Indeed, what you decide regarding the recommended budget will impact approximately 4,000 students, their families, and the approximately 700 employees that make our school district one of, if not the best, in the state of Connecticut. In considering the propriety of our recommended budget, it is important to note that there could be no suggestion that the superintendent brought to the board a fiscally irresponsible budget. Indeed, in the 15 years I've been a part of this process, there's been no serious suggestion that the superintendent does anything other than present a sound and responsible spending plan. And we know this to be true, as the district is audited annually. And these audits over the past decade all speak to the fact that whatever the council allocates for the schools is spent appropriately. Our schools have a long history of having to make do. The issue for our school district isn't how it spends the money, the town's money. Rather, the issue is how does the school district continue to do it well, year over year, when the funding allocated rarely, if ever, responds to the Board of Education's actual recommendations. And it is unclear to me as to why that is the case. No, I'm not naive. I understand that over the past 15 years, there have been years of hardships and challenging financial times. Indeed, I was on the Board of Ed when we had to let go 25 teachers because of the financial crisis in 2008. What I don't understand is the reluctance to go to the voters and explain why, in a given year such as this one, the financial challenges facing the school district are so substantial that it is vital to the long-term financial health of the school district, and by extension the entire town, to depart from the norm and put forward a budget increase that accurately represents what we need to spend. This year, the reasons for our financial challenges are very clear. One, an unreasonably aggressive reduction to the school's operating budget last year that broke faith with a commitment to keep our budgets at or around 3% as we began paying down the debt service for the high school. Two, a new bus contract that, while expensive in year one, has also delivered and responded to the pleas of our town for the last several years. Three, the need to put into the operating budget things that were funded last year on now expiring federal grants, which are nevertheless critical to the district's operations. Four, contractual collective bargaining. And five, a comment that we're going to hear a lot of discussion over the next couple of days, I'm sure, inflation. Inflation also impacts the business operations of our schools. In the context of all those elements, there's one more thing that you need to be aware of. The most important variable to how we allocate our money, and that's special education costs. It is important to emphasize this because the education budget is not, nor can ever truly be static. As you know, the town is obliged to educate all school-age children regardless of where they live, whether they live in the district at the time the budget is recommended, or whether they move in after the budget is ratified after referendum. This becomes even more challenging when a student moves into the district after the budget is ratified that requires special services. Those variables can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the ratified budget long after our recommendations are either adopted or rejected by the council. So it falls upon us to review the recommendations, it falls upon the board to review the recommendations by professionals with years of training and experience, and with a knowledge of curriculum, staffing, teaching and learning, special education, and facilities, to fully understand the costs associated with educating Farmington's children 1/4 of the way through the 21st century. It is their expertise that we rely on when we provide you the recommended budget. Now, it is my hope that in our deliberations over the coming days, we can work together to inform our town about the challenges that our school district is facing and the absolute need for the recommended budget to be reduced as little as possible. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Kathy Grader.
Thank you, Bill. The budget development process in Farmington is grounded in our strategic improvement documents each year. This alignment is critical because our financial plan must advance the implementation of these visionary core improvement documents across all schools and all classrooms. As a leading school district in Connecticut and beyond, this alignment has continued to serve the community, families, and students of Farmington well, as evidenced by our innovative programming and impressive outcomes across a variety of indicators. From initial school submissions to the refinement of our operating budget through school and program reviews of all requests, zero-based budgeting practices were utilized. I will quickly review our core improvement documents in the next 2 slides as they are the foundation of our budget development process. This slide shows Farmington's mission statement, which promotes personal and academic excellence for all students, as well as the acquisition of all of the skills and dispositions outlined in our vision of a global citizen, or our VOGC, ensuring Farmington students lead the way now and in the future. Throughout each series within our budget book, you will see evidence of how our vision of the global citizen has been a focus of the development of the 24-25 budget. Our VOGC guides our improvement work, and thus it is the foundation of our budget or financial plan for the coming year. This slide outlines all of our core documents, which serve as a strong foundation for strategic planning, teacher and administrator goal setting, hiring and recruiting, professional development, as well as our budget recommendations and all elements of our work with students each and every day. With our core improvement documents at the forefront of the development of the budget, here are the major themes of the 24-25 budget. There are several unique themes of this budget that necessitated a higher recommended increase. The Board of Education's recommended budget maintains and advances academic excellence through innovative programming pre-K through 12, promotes innovation in student-centered teaching and learning, supports increased student need in the areas of academic growth and social-emotional well-being, addresses needs and continuous improvement related to transportation, safety, registration, and residency, addresses a restoration of funding due to the 23-24 budget reductions, addresses the need to move funding off of the ESSER 3 ARP grant to the operating budget as this grant funding is ending, addresses significant cost increases across supply, equipment, and many other accounts due to the economy, factors in other grant funding to offset costs to mitigate the overall increase in the operating budget, contains costs through zero-based budgeting, reductions of over $500,000, and efficiencies to maintain and advance current programming, and maintains class size levels in accordance with Board of Education policy. This slide provides an overview of the recommended operating budget for the 24-25 school year. The total recommended budget amount is $80,468,995 for a dollar increase of $4,531,773, or a percent increase over the 23-24 budget of 5.97%. Here are the major budget drivers by series related to the recommended 5.97% increase. It is important to note that the economy is impacting all areas of the school district's budget across series when it comes to cost escalation for the coming school year. And the salary series, 3.52% of the 5.97% increase reflects negotiated contractual obligations, state-mandated requirements, and movement of ESSER 3 ARP staff funding to the operating budget. And the services series, 1.67% of the 5.97% increase, is due to increased transportation costs with a focus on student safety and high-quality service, movement of service costs off of ESSER 3 ARP grant funding, utility costs, and increased contracted rates are also drivers in the services series increase. In the supply series, 0.48% of the 5.97% increase is driven by current economic conditions, the restoration of funding due to 23-24 reductions, and a need to move supply costs off of ESSER III ARP funding. In the equipment series, 0.03% of the 5.97% increase is driven by the restoration of funding due to 23-24 reductions of technology equipment. Lastly, 0.26% of the 5.97% increase reflect all other areas, including but not limited to benefits, as well as dues and fees. Farmington has a tradition of leading the way in education. Here are some favorable academic accomplishments that reflect the taxpayers' investment in our school district. Here are some additional accomplishments across academic subject areas. This slide reflects the fine work and dedication of our students, our faculty and staff, as well as our focus on innovative and continuous strategic improvement efforts. Here are some additional notable accomplishments that position Farmington as a leading school district related to sports, art, and music programming and outcomes. We should be very proud of the well-rounded education we provide to all students in Farmington. The last three slides exemplify our many and varied accomplishments as a school district, which are directly attributed to our community's investment in our schools through our annual budget. This slide, along with the previous three slides, show the school district's commitment to excellence in student outcomes coupled with fiscal responsibility. The rankings listed on this slide are statewide, including all school districts, with one spending the most and 166 spending the least. It is important to note that Farmington ranks 111 in the most up-to-date per-pupil expenditures reported by the Connecticut State Department of Education as compared to all other Connecticut school districts, which is $767 less per pupil than the state per-pupil average, or a difference of approximately $3.1 million. Although we rank 111 in per-pupil expenditures, our schools and school districts consistently rank at the top of the leading schools and school districts in Connecticut and beyond across a variety of rankings. We continue to exhibit exemplary fiscal management within Connecticut, and when you compare us to like school districts across many indicators. The first budget driver is salaries, the 100 series, which accounts for 66% of the total recommended budget. The budget increase in the salary line is 5.34% and reflects negotiated contractual obligations. As a reminder, we have additional salary costs moving off ESSER III ARP funding due to both budget reductions in the 23-24 budget and/or new positions due to student need. This is very unique to the 24-25 budget year. This series reflects all association salary increases for the coming year, which are highlighted on this slide. The next budget driver is insurance, or the 200 series, which accounts for 15% of the total recommended budget with a 1.48% increase. The 200 series includes employee health benefits providing 100% of expected paid claims with a high deductible HSA and coinsurance, as well as life insurance and long-term disability costs. Services is the next budget driver, the 300 series, which accounts for 15% of the total recommended budget. There is an increase of 11.58% in the services series driven by transportation services, a restoration of funding due to budget reductions in the 23-24 budget approval process, moving service costs from ESSER III ARP to the operating budget, and increased costs across many areas of the services account due to the economy. This account also provides for special services, consultation services, and tuition costs for outplacements, major facility projects, K-8 summer school, and technology-based operational systems, as well as professional development. The next series is supplies, or the 400 series, which accounts for 3% of the total recommended budget. The supplies series reflects an 18.25% increase for restoration of supply funding due to budget reductions in the 23-24 budget approval process and increased cost across all areas of the supplies account due to the economy. The 500 series, or equipment series, accounts for approximately 1% of the total recommended budget and reflects an increase of 6.38% due to the need for equipment restoration of reductions in equipment in the 23-24 budget and increased costs due to the economy. Dues and fees, or the 600 series, accounts for less than 1% of the total recommended budget, showing a 7.03% increase. This account includes memberships to organizations that support our strategic improvement efforts. This account also includes the Town of Farmington's negotiated liability, umbrella, and motor vehicle insurance for the school district, and Kerma contractual obligations are the primary driver of this increase. Here's a view of the entire Board of Education's recommended operating budget, all of which I reviewed within this budget presentation. In summary, the 24-25 recommended budget is responsive to our students' needs and advances our visionary strategic priorities. Due to the unique drivers of the budget, we are experiencing a higher percent increase than we have experienced in the past. Again, the unique budget drivers for 24-25 are restoration of funding from the 23-24 budget reductions to the 24-25 budget. Some of these reductions were placed on ESSER 3 ARP grant and are moving back to the operating budget. Next, the end of ESSER grant funding and movement from ESSER funding to the operating budget in 24-25. Economy-driven cost across the entire budget. The cost of supplies, equipment, contractual obligations, and all other aspects of the budget recommendation are impacted by increased costs due to the economy. Last, transportation costs with a focus on safety and high-quality service for our students. As a result of these unique budget drivers, we are seeing a higher percent increase than we have experienced in recent years. These funds are critical to maintaining educational programming and ensuring the safety and well-being of all members of our school district community. The fiscal information presented today and reported district and student achievement results represent a value-added approach to strategic planning, improvement, and budget development. At all times, our strategic improvement efforts and financial plan are centered upon our students, their needs, and their future as self-aware individuals, empowered learners, disciplined thinkers, engaged collaborators, and civic-minded contributors. Here is an overview of the 24-25 Board of Education's requested capital improvement budget, which we presented in detail at Town Council's February 27th meeting. The total capital improvement request is $2,111,250 for capital cash, plus $2,384,445 bonding, for a total of $4,495,695. Our 7-year capital improvement plan is listed on this slide and provides an overview of the 24-25 budget request and out-year requests. I want to thank you for your attention to this presentation. I will now turn the presentation back to our town manager, Kathy Blonsky.
Thank you, Kathy. The grand list. The grand list is broken down into 3 categories: real estate, personal property, and motor vehicles. The real estate account shows a 0.56% increase. The personal property account shows a 3.55% increase, and the motor vehicles account shows a 4.63% decrease. In summary, the grand list increased by 0.36%, or $16,078,226, for a total grand list of $4,510,359,949. Some areas to note: motor vehicles decreased significantly due to the overall increased cost in motor vehicles and the high interest rates to finance the purchase of a car. Real estate and personal property show increases in line with our financial forecast. Revenues. I've broken down revenues into 9 categories: other property taxes, license and permits, fines and penalties, interest, grants, service charges, other, Westwood's contribution, and fund balance. Other property taxes, $1,429,000, a decrease of 5.94%. License and permits, $1,111,800, an increase of 15.63%. Fines and penalties, $24,500, an increase of 68.97%. Interest, $995,000, an increase of 42.75%. Grants, $7,811,922, an increase of 13.96%. Service charges, $1,535,125, an increase of 1.46%. Other, $750,800, a decrease of 2.36%. Westwood's contribution, $327,776, a decrease of 2.16%. Fund balance, $850,000, a decrease of 29.21%. In summary, recommended non-tax revenues are $14,835,923, or a 7.01% increase over the current year. Some areas to note: state and federal grants have increased from last year. The town is projected to receive an additional $957,231 in state and federal grants. I am recommending that the town appropriate $850,000 from fund balance. Recommended tax and mill rate. The recommended general fund budget will require a property tax rate of 25.87 mils, which is an increase of 1.66 mils. In other words, $100,000 of assessed value equals $2,587 in taxes. The cost for the average homeowner with a house assessed at $301,455 is $7,797.97, an increase of $499.85, or 6.85%. Conclusion. As you may remember, last year's overall budget had a 0% increase in expenditures and a significantly reduced capital budget. Overall, the town's operating budget is a maintenance budget with very limited expansion of town services. Unfortunately, some of our reductions from last year were not able to be restored in this budget, but in general, we were able to maintain a high level of service. Last year, the capital budget was reduced by 74%. Drastically reducing our capital budget year after year is neither sustainable nor best practice. Therefore, I did restore the capital budget back to the recommended funding level per the capital improvement policy. And I've also included 4 bonding questions from the town councils for the town council's consideration. As always, town staff continually work to serve the community at a high level without substantially increasing the tax burden on our property owners. We constantly review the organization for efficiencies, cost savings, and the implementation of best practices for municipal governments. My staff and I stand ready to assist you in your deliberations throughout the week. Shown here is the 2024 budget schedule. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Superintendent and our Chair, Bill Becker, for the Board of Ed. We will open up the public comment only to comments of the budget right now. So if you're in the audience and you'd like to step up, please do. State your name, address, and you have 5 minutes.
Joanne Lawson, 9 Prattling Pond Road. I do have a few questions about the budget because I only look at it while you're developing it, and then I can't remember all the details from year to year. So I know you guys put in a lot of work on this, but I just have a few questions to ask. ESSER, I don't know what that is, so if you could describe what it is and how much we're paying for it in this budget. I think it was funded by the federal government before. And then if you could also talk a little bit about I looked at some of your exhibits, and it seems like we're getting 8 more students projected for next year, but 13 more staff for the Board of Ed, so that seems like a lot. Maybe that's ESSER? And another question, I think this is general, but Westwood's roof, if we do get some state reimbursement, where does that go if or when we get that? And then on the high school bonding, if we are getting $24 million in August of 2024, is that the end of our bonding, or do we have like yet another year of bonding to go after that? Just curious. And then I'm not sure it's even in this budget, but the splash pad, is that something we could hold off on, like if we need police cars more? But it might already be funded and half built, I don't know. So those are my few questions for you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the Board of Ed can get back to you with your to answers to your questions.
And the town.
And the town will also. And if you stick around, we do have one of the points in there is the splash pad and one of the things later today. Anybody else?
Tim Kelly, 62 Westview. It was reported recently in a school board meeting that Farmington students have demonstrated academically, as evidenced by the last round of comprehensive test scores, that we have recovered from any COVID-era education hiccups. So we are right back where we were before the pandemic. Credit goes to our very fine staff, committed students, and supportive parents. Like all districts, we received some extra short-term COVID relief funds called ESSER, ESSER 2, 3, et cetera, ARPA, to help with server and software infrastructure to support remote learning, extra learning programs, expanded summer school, additional tutoring, academic assistance, and other unique education expenses. As a layman, it's hard to know exactly where all the COVID money went, but the special funding was always meant to sunset at the end of the pandemic. Hopefully, we were wise in our thought process and allocation strategy. Regardless, the upcoming budget proposal should not include an attempt to artificially extend COVID-era programming into the future. The coming academic year actually takes us to the 5-year anniversary of the health crisis. Mr. Chair, I don't believe the Board of Ed has done its job. In the budget process, the job of the board is to take the raw input from our school departments and thoughtfully distill that into a budget that meets the 3% spending growth target in Farmington, or at least gets close. When we sold the big high school project to the community a couple years ago, a commitment essentially to 25 years of mortgage payments, we promised the taxpayers that we would protect them with a financial guardrail to not allow department operating budgets to grow more than 3% a year. Both parties held hands and went door to door to pitch it. Why is the guardrail needed? Because in Farmington, we have people who are passionate about everything from pickleball to education programs to polo ponies. We need to channel that zeal in a fiscally sound manner to not crush taxpayers. Today, the Board of Ed is submitting for 6% growth against the 3% target. This is 2x the expected number and not even in the ballpark. And we haven't even opened the doors to the new high school. This is bad form at best and truly breaks trust with the community. The Board of Ed met one morning in February, quickly ran through the proposed budget, rubber stamp accepted it as is, and lunch was served. In a 100-page, $80 million proposal, the board and senior leadership team could not find a single place where we can scale back. Where's the value add? It's not enough effort, team. The current situation is unfair to this council. The board is now expecting the council to do their job in the next 2 days when they had 2 months to do it. Look, I know this is hard. So many of us have kids in the system, maybe grandkids, spouses and friends who work for Farmington schools. But that's why we have guardrails and the process. I recommend that the council send the proposed school budget back to be reworked at this point. Kathy, here's what we're going to need to see when you come back. It's really a 3-category cost analysis,
Tim, you got 1 minute.
and I'm finishing. First category is, here are things the state says we need to do that we agree we need to do. Teaching first grade, right? 4 years of English in high school, et cetera, et cetera. The next column is all the things Farmington Schools does that make a lot of sense to us, but the state does not mandate it. And then the last column is all those unnecessary state mandates that have zero value to us, but for some reason we're caught up doing. I'd also like to see a list of the savings accounts, both at the school and the town, where we have put away funds for the future. I look forward to everyone's enthusiastic collaboration this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to make public comment? Anybody online?
We do have a hand raised online. We have Emily Collini.
Emily, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Thank you.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Emily Collini. I am at 30 High Street. I wanted to express my opinion about what I've heard so far tonight and share my feelings that I find it to be a sign of wise, good, and strong leadership to seek out trusted experts and to take their advice. I think tonight the superintendent and the Board of Ed are the experts here today when talking about the education of the children of our town. As a result of hearing their presentation and knowing the work and the collaboration that the town and the board have had over the years, I encourage you to accept the budget as it is presented and to give the voters of the town a chance to tell you where their priorities lie. See if they can also accept that the superintendent and the Board of Ed are the people who know what's needed the best. And I encourage people to accept the budget, to vote yes, and to leave it as it is presented tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Kat?
I don't see any other hands raised.
We'll give it a second. Nothing. All right, and then we'll close the public hearing at 7:51. Thank you very much. We will move on to new items. We don't have any. So now we'll open up for regular public comment. If you have any other comments that you'd like to make to the council, it's your time. If you want to step up to the podium, again, you have 5 minutes. State your name and address. Anybody online, Cap? That will make regular public comment.
No hands are raised.
All right, we'll go on to G.
Approval of the minutes. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff in between where my notes are in this thing. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 20th, 2024 regular town council meeting.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the February 27, 2024 regular town council meeting.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. H, communications and written appeals. We don't have any?
None.
All right. Report of the committees, 1928. We did meet today, and if you haven't heard, the committee did go in front of the town planning and zoning last night and won their approvals. And now we move on to the next phase of our project, where we're moving diligently to figure out demolition, construction, and overall moving in of the new town hall. And in the next couple of weeks, you'll be receiving some mail about our purchase of a brick, where you can put your name, your class year, that leads up into the entranceway of the new town hall.
And a newsletter's coming out
And when's that date?
next week.
Next week would be the newsletter. We'll move on to the Farmington High School Building Committee.
Don't have a lot of additional to report since my last report. We had another meeting. We continue to move on target with budget, and the progress is going well. We have another meeting next week.
Thank you. We'll move on to the chair report. I have 4 little things here. On March 15th at 9 a.m., Bollywood Dreams, formerly known as Flavors of Nawab, located at 55 Mill Street, Unionville, will have a ribbon cutting to celebrate their fresh new start with an expanded menu. They'll be offering delicious American breakfast and lunch along with their authentic Indian cuisine all day. All are invited to attend on Friday for the ribbon cutting. Stanley Whitman was hosting their annual St. Patrick's Day Irish and Celtic concert, March 16th at 2 p.m. On the 21st, Thursday, from 4 to 9, Five Guys will donate 20% of all sales to Boy Scout Troop 170 for their Maine High adventure trip in July. On the 23rd, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Farmington Community Chest will have their wine, beer, and spirits tasting at the Farmington Polo Club, located at 162 Time Farm Road. Price is $50 per person. Tickets can be purchased online at the Farmington Community Chest Facebook page. And last, Farmington Park and Rec is hosting their 46th annual spring celebration on March 23rd from 10 a.m. to 1 at the Polo Grounds. Registration is required by March 18th. Tickets would not be sold at the gate. And we'll move on to Board of Education liaison.
The Board of Education has not met since my last update on February 20th. We heard their presentation on the budget tonight, and their next meeting is March 18th at 7 p.m. at Union School.
Thank you. Inlands, wetlands.
The Conservation and Wetland Commission voted on officers. Ned Stachin will be the chair, Robert Eisner the vice chair, David Fox the secretary. There's 2 pending applications on fairly routine matters of construction of things like garages and a buffer space. And there is an ongoing cease and desist order that's been pending since October related to some fill that was placed within the regulated area. Their next meeting is March 20th at 7 here in Town Council chambers and on Zoom.
Thank you. EDC.
Okay, we have not had a meeting. The last meeting was canceled due to the economic development breakfast that was held the same day, so they didn't have a meeting. The next meeting is March 13th, which is tomorrow, and I will be here. And that's it. The breakfast meeting was really good. Talked about the New England Air Museum, which I reported on last time. So that's it for now.
Thank you. Town Planning and Zoning.
Town Planning and Zoning, they had a meeting last night. I think you talked about that, Joe. The 1928 building was the primary, agenda item. There was the professionals from Silver Petroselli and Benesh were there to basically, to the public, explain how the project is kind of put together, cited the different features of it. Russ Arnold was also present and made a presentation from the town, basically also describing the features of the 1928 building and the building program, the site development, the drainage, so forth and so on. And obviously, it was approved and is now moved on. The next item is kind of what I've talked about before. One thing that I think is becoming more and more kind of common is that people are taking the advantage, rightfully so, of trying to do home businesses. It's allowed for now. So there's a lot of new businesses that are starting up, and a lot of them tend to be around preparing food and then, and then transacting, meals locally and so forth. It's kind of interesting because it is become a popular thing, and it does have some bearing on neighbors, on streets if they're too tight with parking, things that the TPZ are navigating and really trying to drill down on. So I do think that that's going to be a common element that we're going to see more and more of, and that's really was the gist of the meeting yesterday.
Thank you. And Brian, you have a bicycle advisory update.
I do. I wanted to share that with the days getting longer and the days getting warmer, a lot of people will want to start getting out on their bikes and on the road, and we'll have a lot of new bike riders. So you will want to take note of this, and that is that there is going to be a smart cycling class. It's a 9-hour class that is appropriate for all levels of cyclists. The class will teach emergency maneuvers, roadway safety skills, lane positioning, and more through classroom instructions, bike drills, and an instructional ride. The class is highly recommended for all adults and older teen cyclists looking to increase their safety as recreational riders or bike commuters on the road and multi-use trails, so don't miss it. The class is going to be in April. It's going to be on the 5th and the 6th, in the evening on the 5th and during the morning on the 6th. The class is $50, and if you would like to get more information on it, you can go to the Bike Walk Farmington, Connecticut Facebook page, or you can go to bikeleague.org to get some additional information. Oh, and if I may, I also have some new officers for the Historical Commission I may introduce.
Certainly.
Also, on the Farmington Historic Commission, we have some new officers that I wanted to congratulate and introduce you to. The commission voted unanimously to accept Commissioner Jay Bombera as the chair for 2024. They also voted unanimously to accept Commissioner Jim Calciano as vice chair, and they also voted unanimously to accept Commissioner Michelle Phelan as the secretary. So I wish them congratulations and their great work for what they do in the Historic District of Farmington. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all their service that they give to our town. Report of the town manager. None?
None tonight.
Appointments. I believe, Dave, you have a couple.
Yeah, and the retirement board, this would be L5. We would be reappointing Rob Hewlin to the retirement board. I move the motion that we make that motion to put Robert Hewlin on the retirement board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and that's going to be beginning immediately and ending January 2026?
Correct.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The next appointment would be the retirement board again, L6, which would be appointing Bruce Polsky to the retirement board. Again, that would commence immediately and go through 2026. I make that motion for Bruce Polsky to join the retirement board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item L7, I make a motion that Roja Afshar be appointed to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission for the balance of a 4-year term, beginning immediately and ending January 2026.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll quickly read so Roja will be taking over for Patrick Carrier. She fled Iran and became a U.S. citizen in 2002. She received her Master's of Law from UConn in 2014, and she's currently the in-house counsel for Beakley Medical. Knowing her a little bit personally, she's been very engaged in our local politics and our statewide politics, and is eager to volunteer for this commission.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I believe that's all for the appointments today. M, any old business?
No.
None. So, agenda item N1.
N1, I make a motion to award bid number 344 splash pad and pickleball courts at the Westwoods Recreation Complex to PMB Construction, Inc. of Brookfield, Connecticut at a cost of $695,862.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Kathy?
This award is to contract with a qualified vendor to design, supply, and construct a splash pad and pickleball courts at the Westwoods Recreation Complex. The town received 4 bids. The bid submitted by PMB Construction was not the lowest bid proposal. However, their design submission was the most complete. In addition, the products proposed to be used were determined to be of higher quality than the products proposed by the low bidder. Staff checked with the other municipalities who have worked with BMBP on the similar splash pad products and received very favorable references concerning quality of work and support. After the project was completed, funds to pay for this contract are available from the State of Connecticut's STEEP grant and from the town's capital improvement budget. Since the project involves state funding, state approval of the award must also be obtained, which I think we're in the process of doing right now.
Great. And Joanne, just to answer your question, it was part of a STEEP grant. That's why we're going through with it. Any discussion or questions?
Question. Kathy, are we using a state form contract for this bid? I can't remember what they're referred to, but I know the state has certain contracts. Or is it a contract that we're negotiating? If that question makes it.
I'm not sure. I don't understand the question.
I think I could be wrong, but I think what Patty is getting at is, was there a bidders list from the state of Connecticut, like approved bidders list, or this was just a general solicitation for a bid? Yeah, it was an open bid. It was a
Open
general-
bid.
Dave.
Yep.
The bid was advertised on the state website. the state portal. It was also advertised on our website. It was also advertised in the local Hartford Courant newspaper.
Right.
So it was state bidders, anybody who's registered with the state portal
Right.
had access to the bid, or the bid specs.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe and Rush. Any other
My only
questions?
question was, what was kind of the range of bids? Like from low to high?
Do you see it on the attachment?
Oh, I didn't see the attachment. Oh, I'm sorry. Then that, my mistake. I keep on bouncing out anyway, so,
There's a spreadsheet in your packet.
yep.
The bids range from a low of $642,000 to a high of $877,000.
Okay, great. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Anything else?
You can give this to Dave, I have a hard copy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item N2, to award bid number 345, removal of brush, stumps, logs, and wood chips to BCI Inc. of Windsor, Connecticut, at a cost of $53,960.
Second?
Motion is second. Kathy?
This bid is to contract with a qualified vendor to remove the accumulated brush, stump, logs, and wood chips that residents drop off at the town landfill site on Tungus Mead Road. The town recently accepted bids for this purpose. The town received 5 bids, with BCI submitting the lowest bid. Funds to pay for this contract are available in the landfill budget in the waste collection fund.
Any questions?
I have two. How often does this usually occur? Do they, like, in terms of coming in to collect the accumulated brush and dispose of it?
Russ, could you answer that for me?
We didn't, we didn't go out last year for this. We felt we had enough to get enough space to buy the time. But typically we go out every year.
And do we know if this is taken to a facility in-state or out of state? I meant to ask you this earlier, Kathy, and I forgot, so sorry for the last minute.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
If it's taken in or out of state,
Like,
she
do we know
asked.
where they dispose of the,
They're taking it to the yard in Windsor.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item N3, to set a public hearing on Monday, April 1st, 2024, at 7 PM in the Town Council Chambers on the purchase of property owned by WD2 LLC, located at 9300 and 9307 Glen Hollow Drive, 6.5 acres, give or take, for the price of $600,000.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Kathy?
Typically, the town council doesn't ask questions until after the public hearing on this, but I will just go through it in general, is that it is just setting the public hearing. It's for a purchase price of $600,000. We'll have a presentation and a public hearing at the next meeting on it.
Great. So we'll ask no questions, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item N4, to set a public hearing on Monday, April 1st, 2024, at 7:05 PM, in the Town Council Chambers, on the Town Council's proposed budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025.
Second?
Motion is second.
You have the full budget schedule. Just a reminder that we go tomorrow, and it is at 4 PM, and it will be with the Board of Ed, and that is the only agenda item, would be the board.
Great. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item N5, to accept the annual report of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023.
Second?
Motion is second. Kathy?
This is the annual report for the town of Farmington, and just a reminder, it's from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So it's a year behind, or 6 months.
Any questions?
I enjoyed reading it.
It's a lot of pages. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
N6, to approve the following property tax refunds.
Second?
Motion is second. Are we on there?
We missed it again.
Once again, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We don't have anything for executive session. So again, we'll see everybody at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and hope everyone has a safe night, and we'll call for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn the March 12th Town Council meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:09. Thank you.